Welcome back. Darwin Conley, Director of Agent Development and Performance. Our next document is the lead-based paint, or as it says here, lead-based paint and lead-based paint hazards disclosure. This is a document that there is no waiver to. They're all parties who own a 1 to 4, well, let me rephrase that. Any party who has a residential property that was built prior to 1978, we're putting them on notice, okay? And the seller must complete this document. Now, what we have with this document is simply this. It's pertaining to a particular street, city, state, zip. What we know, as it says, every purchase of any interest in a residential property on which a residential dwelling was built prior to 1978 is notified that such property may be present exposure to lead or lead-based paint. If it was built prior to, they must disclose on these lines. If they have a home that was built after, it would be this. They simply initial both boxes. We come down, initial, seller signs, we sign. Seller, seller, seller's agent. Documents done, turn it in with everything else. And yes, we would like the buyer, when they purchase the property, to acknowledge that the property was built after 1978. It's really a way for us to be able to cover ourselves so that it is the seller who disclosed that it was built in 1978 or after. Now, if it was built prior to, now there is a disclosure. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Do you have any knowledge of lead-based paint or lead-based paint in the house? Most are going to say no. They're going to sign this box. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you have any records or reports of any lead-based paint? Well, if they said no to this, they're saying no to this. If they do have known, explain it. If you do have records or reports, provide them. In which case, you're labeling these two. Now, I will share with you, since lead-based paint became a mandatory disclosure, not once, zero, have I, as an agent or as a manager, know of anybody who did lead-based paint testing. They simply accept the fact that there's probably lead-based paint. So this is the normal look, but ask the seller, do you have any knowledge? No, initial here. Do you have any records or reports? No, initial here. That's going to be normal if it is not this first box where they're disclosing the house was built 1978 or after. Your initial simply says, I've done all of my obligations as the listing agent. When the purchaser then receives or offers on the purchase agreement, we have uploaded this document to the MLS, and all agents have the access. They're going to provide it to their buyer. Quite often, this document is going to look exactly the same or very, very close to what this says when we're receiving it. But as the purchaser, it says, purchaser has received copies of all the information listed above. So anything that might have been here, they're saying we've got it. A purchaser has received the pamphlet, Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home. That is out there. It's part of our Remind Docs Plus. You can buy the pamphlets themselves and hand them to them, but it is our responsibility in working with a buyer that we provide this. They're going to initial. Purchaser has, and it states, initial only one. So They do have a 10-day opportunity, or whatever is mutually agreed upon, conduct a risk assessment or inspection for the presence of lead-based paint and lead-based paint hazards. Again, I can share with you, I've never had anybody do it. If they wanted it, they would do this. If they don't want it, we're going to have them initial that lower box. All right. Now, from there, again, if it's the purchaser, they sign, and if we were working with them, we sign. Listing already done. Okay, that is the lead-based paint disclosure. Simple. Put it in their hands, maybe guide them a little bit, make sure it's them who are completing it. Go be productive. Talk to people.